I was 26 when I worked the night shift at a little pizza joint in a quiet corner of Bridgewood, Ohio. The place wasn't anything special: greasy booths, outdated neon sign buzzing over the window, and a menu that never changed. The only real draw was that it stayed open 24 hours, which meant most of the business came from late-night drunks stumbling in after the bars closed. I usually worked alone, which I actually preferred. The kitchen was easy to manage, and when things were slow, I'd sit in the back scrolling my phone while the ovens hummed faintly in the background. Nights blurred together that way. That Tuesday started out like all the rest. I came in around 9, relieved the day manager, prepped the dough, and got myself ready for a long but uneventful shift. By midnight, I'd only served a handful of customers. After that, silence. I was leaned back on a chair in the kitchen when the ding of the front door chime jolted me. I stood up, expecting to see some tired bar-goers wander in. But when I stepped into the dining area, the place was empty. The booths, the counter, the whole front room. Nobody. At first, I laughed at myself. Maybe I was so used to hearing that bell that I was imagining it now. I double-checked the door anyway. Locked, undisturbed. Shrugging, I went back to the kitchen. But about 15 minutes later, the bell rang again. This time, I walked straight to the door. Again, no one. The sidewalk was empty, and the parking lot out front was bare, except for my beat-up Honda parked near the dumpsters. Confused, I fiddled with the door to see if it could trigger the bell on its own. It couldn't. Something wasn't right. I lingered in the front for half an hour, waiting for the bell again, but it never rang. So, eventually, I went back to scrolling my phone in the kitchen. Not 5 minutes later. Ding. This time, I didn't move. I just sat in silence, staring at the doorway from my chair. The kitchen was dead quiet, except for the faint hum of the fridge. I called out, "Hello? Somebody out there?" No answer. I forced myself to ignore it. Maybe some electrical glitch. Maybe my imagination. Hours passed without a single customer. Then, around 4 in the morning, I started cleaning up for the morning crew. I carried the cash drawer to the counter and began counting bills when a heavy thump sounded behind me, like a boot striking tile. I froze. Slowly, I turned. Standing just a few feet away was a man. His clothes were filthy, shredded in places. A hood shadowed most of his face, but his bloodshot eyes glared out at me, hollow, unblinking. His hand trembled at his side, gripping a knife so tightly his knuckles had gone white. "Take the money," I stammered. "I don't care. Just let me leave." He didn't answer. He didn't move. He just stared with that vacant, predatory look. The counter trapped me. If I ran for the door, I'd have to pass close enough for him to grab me. My pulse thundered in my ears, so I did the only thing I could think of. I dove over the counter. I crashed onto the floor hard enough to knock the wind out of me, but adrenaline carried me up onto my feet. The man lunged after me with a guttural growl, his face twisted into something feral, his knife flashing in his fist. I tore through the front door, the bell jangling violently above me, and sprinted toward the road. Behind me, his footsteps pounded closer, closer, until suddenly they stopped. I didn't dare look back. I just ran until my legs nearly gave out, then fumbled my phone from my pocket and called 911. The police arrived minutes later. When we returned to the pizza shop, the place was destroyed. Tables overturned, shelves ripped apart. My car, parked behind the building, had deep knife scratches carved into the doors. The officers believed the man had been watching me from outside all along, ringing the door as a distraction, waiting for the right time to slip in. But the detail that chills me most is this. There was nearly an hour between the last time I heard the bell and when I saw him, which means he may have been inside that entire time, hiding in the shadows, waiting. They never found him. I quit within a week. I still can't hear a door chime without shivering. Back in 2019, I was pulling double shifts, a daytime office job in Coldbrook, Illinois, and delivery driving at night to save money for a down payment. Some nights I worked until nearly dawn, chasing every decent order I could find. That night started off strong. By 11, I was tired but still greedy. When a $19 delivery popped up for a drop-off only 15 minutes away, I couldn't resist. The address led me down unfamiliar roads, narrow lanes cutting deeper and deeper into the woods. Streetlights grew sparse until finally I reached a gravel path. My GPS insisted this was the way. I drove until I reached two stone pillars with a chain hanging between them, except the chain was unhooked, lying slack. So I drove through. The path ended in a small dirt lot with a faded wooden sign, Briarwood Forest Preserve. Confused, I parked. The place looked abandoned, no houses, no campers, no one. Then my phone rang. It was the customer. A deep, raspy male voice said, "I see you parked. You should see our fire if you walk a little further down the trail." I hesitated. I thought forest preserves closed at dusk, but he explained this one allowed overnight camping. I didn't know any better. So I grabbed the bag of food, turned on my phone flashlight, and headed into the trail. The woods were deathly silent, just wind and crickets. Then, in the distance, I spotted a glow between the trees, a campfire. But when I reached it, my stomach twisted. There were no tents, no chairs, no backpacks, just flames flickering in the middle of the clearing. And then I heard it, a sharp crack of a branch. I spun, my flashlight trembling in my grip. A figure stood just beyond the tree line, still, watching. I shouted nervously, Hey, I'm the delivery guy. I'll just set the order down here." The man finally stepped forward, tall, scruffy, with greasy hair and a crooked grin. His eyes locked onto me like a predator's. "Didn't see you coming up," he rasped, his fake smile twisting wider. Every instinct screamed at me. I dropped the bag on the ground and bolted. "Hey!" he shouted after me, voice suddenly sickly sweet. "Come back. I've got cash for you." I sprinted until my lungs burned, stumbling into the parking lot. Relief hit me when I saw my car, until I realized the chain across the pillars was now latched shut. My headlights caught movement. Footsteps crunched closer from behind me. I didn't think. I floored it, swerving off the path, bumping over the grass and squeezing past the ditch. My tires nearly slid, but I made it back onto the gravel road and tore off into the night. The next morning, curiosity got the better of me. I searched the preserve online. It had been closed at 8 p.m., sharp. Always. And camping? Never allowed. I still wonder what would have happened if I had followed him deeper into those woods. In 2021, I worked the overnight shift at a data center outside Havenbrook, Michigan. The job was simple. Monitor the servers, restart anything that went offline, and otherwise just sit in the office with nothing but fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. The place sat at the end of a long industrial road, surrounded by woods. At night it was eerie. silent but for the hum of machinery. That night began like every other. I set up my laptop, streamed some shows, and glanced at the monitors every so often. Usually nothing happened, but around midnight a notification flashed. One of the servers had gone down. I sighed, grabbed my keycard, and walked through the maze of corridors until I reached the server warehouse, a cavernous space lined with endless rows of humming machines. The outage was in the far corner. When I reached it, I froze. The power cable wasn't just loose. It had been pulled out, lying across the floor like it had been yanked. That shouldn't have been possible. Those cables were industrial, heavy, practically locked into place. Still, I reconnected it, rebooted the system, and everything came back online. As I left, a thud echoed through the corridors, like a heavy door slamming. My skin prickled. The building was empty, or so I thought. Back in the office, I tried to focus on my show, but minutes later I heard it, rapid footsteps in the hall outside. I jumped up, swung the door open. The corridor was empty, just a long stretch of pale walls and flickering exit signs. I should have let it go, but I couldn't. I followed the hallway and caught sight of another door at the far end, just barely swinging shut. "Hello?" My voice cracked in the silence. I stepped into the next corridor. This one was lined with dark office doors, each with narrow glass windows. My heart hammered as I passed the first door, then the second. Suddenly, the third door slammed open. A man burst out, sprinting toward me. His face was half hidden in the dark, but I'll never forget the sound of his shoes striking the concrete. I bolted, his footsteps pounding behind me, echoing through the corridors. I tore through the stairwell, shoving open the fire exit, and stumbled out into the night. By the time I reached my car, I was dialing 911 with shaking hands. The police searched the entire building for nearly an hour. No one was found, no signs of forced entry. Later, my supervisor told me the footage showed nothing. No figure, no intruder, just empty halls. But I know what I saw, and I know that if I hadn't run, he wouldn't have let me leave alive.